The Pixel 8 Pro. Is it a mastery class about creating AI-based camera phone, or there's been too much hype making it hard to see the full picture? One way to find out. Let's inspect. You know, this probably is the smartphone with the most reviews I've ever seen in my life about a tech piece. Funny enough, many of these have been based on just several hours of using the Pixel 8 Pro, and it's just crazy how much people are crawling towards views and likes and social media exposure. And no, this video is not going to be biased. It's not meant to make you buy something, although it's going to be a very good reference whether you need to upgrade your current smartphone or not, and which are the pros and the cons of the Google Pixel 8 Pro. That's going to be a very balanced review, and it's not sponsored by Google. However, the video itself has a sponsor. It's the AI-based PDF editor UPDF, something I'm gonna tell you more about in just a few moments. And now, let's dive into it, the Pixel 8 Pro and everything that matters after a month being used by a tech Mishka. Expensive. At least given the price increase, kind of significant. Perhaps Google really want to make this phone feel premium, and maybe the price this time is a bit too much. Because there have been some weird things going on, such as embargo limitations and app access issues masking benchmark results and so on. On the other hand, iPhone 15 series have now a very reasonable competitor, and so do the Galaxy S23 series and many other high-end smartphones. It's good to see that the Pixel series finally gets to belong here. Quite a basic pack, in a matter of fact, and a slim box which suggests the lack of a charger. It's a lovely color, though. Maybe I tend to agree to some Reddit statements that the combination reminds of Chinese garage brands that were trying to release some cool-looking phones a few years ago, but a lot better finish and feeling, a lot of glass covering almost the whole surface of the phone with exception for the metal bezels surrounding it. The phone construction seems fairly decent, and some of the early drop tests show outstanding build quality and break resistance. Since I'm not a fan of gifting these big smartphone brands your hard work-earned money, just be reasonable and always wear protection. I mean, a case for this phone is a very good idea, and there already are a whole lot of good models. I continue to root for the popular Spigen series, and I'm not sponsored to say this. Since you may have watched tons of reviews about the Pixel 8 Pro already, I feel like sharing with you this time what Google could have used inside the phone instead of the current components. Like the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2 or 3, UFS 4.0 compliant storage, Bluetooth 5.4, proper fast charging implementation, removable battery, FM radio, alert slider, or some other unique hardware feature. Maybe I'm dreaming of too much, but at the price of around $1,000, I think I have the right to dream about anything. The reason I mentioned all these possible hardware improvements is to make the point that not all the hardware ingredients inside Pixel 8 Pro are really flagship level, and the price kind of suggests that we should expect only the best. For example, the storage inside being UFS 3.1, it's good, don't get me wrong, it's really good, but when we compare it to the twice faster UFS 4, that's a big deal, especially when you have to load a lot of data for some of the big games, for instance. The processor inside is also not on par with the latest Snapdragons or with the latest SoCs by Apple. And even when you scroll some websites, you can feel stuttering on a Google Chrome browser, which is a Google-made piece of software. Kind of weird. Also, the modems, they are Samsung-made, not very power efficient, which leads to increased battery consumption, which leads to my complaint about the slow charging, because it's one thing to charge your phone within 20 minutes up to 100%. It's a totally different thing to have to wait for an hour and 20 minutes. What I'm trying to say is that Google could have done a lot better job with the hardware, especially at this price point. But at the same time, this smartphone has a lot of strengths, especially the software, because it's very cloud-oriented, and the AI implementations, they are amazing. Sadly, some of these are offloaded to the cloud, but yes, the AI inside is really powerful. And speaking of AI, I think it's time to present you Today's episode sponsor, UPDF, which is an AI-powered PDF editor which has amazing features such as the OCR, the optical character recognition, and also it can transform an image into fully editable text. You can edit literally everything in an existing PDF file, preserving its original format, and you can convert PDFs into Word, Excel, or PowerPoint files with just a few mouse clicks. If you work on confidential or content-sensitive projects, you can easily password protect these using UPDF. So make sure to trust the AI-powered UPDF software. You need one license and you can use the software on any of the supported operating systems: Mac OS, Windows, Android, and iOS. Besides being affordable, I'm giving you an extra discount via the exclusive coupon that is listed in the video description area. So hurry up, get your license until this great deal lasts. As you see, the software runs very smoothly on the latest Pixel series, and experience was similar with taking photos. If you've ever used a Pixel camera phone in your hands, you know what to expect. This is probably the best smartphone camera for photos ever made. Truth is that it is less about the hardware and a lot more about the software. Because Google tends to add a fair amount of processing to each and every photo that you take, this isn't a bad sign. I'm just trying to be as objective as possible. Each and every decent smartphone maker applies such tactics, and what matters is of course the end result. Pixel 8 Pro is the smartphone giving me confidence I've never experienced to date that the photo that I'm taking is gonna look great. For the first few weeks of using it, there barely are shots that are not usable, and portraits unthinkably good. Of course, a great strength is the nighttime photography, where I feel that Pixels are in their own league, closely followed by iPhone and Galaxy smartphones. Insanely good-looking photos with great levels of details, colors and lights. Amazing. There's no need to praise the dynamic range. You will anyway notice this too much HDR incorporated. Some people like it, some people kind of complain that it makes these photos look artificial. There finally are some pro-grade features in the camera app where you can control the ISO, the shutter speed and so on, but these are only available for the photos and not for the videos. In fact, I'm a little disappointed in the first impressions that I got about video recording. S23 has been superb about letting me record videos on the go, and there is something not right about the colors and the amount of details, especially in 10-bit HDR mode. Google do not let you control the bitrate yet, so I believe that videos recorded with a third-party app look better than what the stock Pixel camera app is currently doing. And honestly, it feels that with video there really is a lot to be improved. Not just the colors, but also the sharpness, the white balance, the artifacts. Stabilization is great though. There finally is the more cinematic 24 frames per second mode, but does it really matter when we have no control over shutter speed and ISO? Come on Google, Xiaomi and Samsung can do this for many years now. The famous telephoto camera is once again with a 5x optical zoom. You're gonna love it, even for low light photography. The ultra-wide module is also a pleasant surprise, and there is 4K video capacity even for the front selfie camera. If I have to summarize the camera experience in just one sentence, this is the best camera for taking photos on the market, but Google have a lot of catching up to do about video in order to match Samsung and iPhone devices, but take into consideration that only professionals might actually notice these imperfections. Second major topic about a smartphone, this would be the battery life. Actually, I was expecting worse results, maybe because of all these rather negative reviews that I've seen online, but I would say the battery endurance is actually on the good side, and probably the difference between what I experienced with my usage and all these other tests is because many of them have been performed in lab environments. For sure, the consumption, if you use mobile data, is much higher than what you'd wish, but the phone will certainly last through the day even with heavy use. More than 9 hours of screen-on time are possible per charge, and based on my usual cycles, about 30 hours per charge is what I approximately get. It's almost the same as what I get with Galaxy S23, significantly better than Pixel 7 and a bit better than Xiaomi 13 and 13T series. Compared to iPhones, it's not as good, but rather close. At least closer than last year. But charging speed is as terribly slow. Weirdly, Google also limits the wireless charging speeds unless you use their own proprietary charger. It's just a shame that the 7-year-old OnePlus 3, for instance, can recharge to full quicker than the Pixel 8 Pro. Some flagships already do a full recharge within less than 20 minutes. So yeah, dear Google, it's about time to do something about it. If this sounds somewhat disappointing, the processor performance is even more disappointing. Not that the phone is slow, not at all. You know that Google are masters about making these animations smooth as silk. But gaming is, not as great. Worse performance than the latest Dimensity and Snapdragon flagships, and of course way behind the Apple Bionic chip performance. If there is one thing I'd happily change on my Pixel phone, that would be choosing the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3 over this Tensor thing made by Samsung. No matter how many tactics Google used to master the lackluster performance, it remains a chipset that has a lot of catching up to do, and it won't improve much with the updates. Perhaps in 5 or 6 years from now, while Google still provides software updates and maybe it's gonna run Android 18 or 19, it's gonna be way off the targets. But on the other hand, given the fact that the ARM architecture is beyond the most enthusiastic years of development, and that a lot of people still enjoy the Pixel 4a 5 years later, it might actually stay somewhat relevant. Therefore, if you like gaming, focus on the beautiful display. It's the first smartphone on the market supporting Samsung's new E7 panel. The non-Pro Edition panels are also great this year. Rumors say that Google used Samsung and another vendor for these though. Oh, and the speakers are good too. Not as great as the Samsung tuned speakers, but if you like flat sounding and loud speakers, these count. I'm gonna keep it short about the software, vanilla Android, and you either like it or you don't. Because it is made by Google, you're automatically subscribed for the best kind of security and for always getting the new Android flavors way before anybody else. There are some custom ROMs in case you prefer to try something different, but I would avoid unlocking the bootloader if I were you, especially if you seek for reliability. Yes, there still are not that many customizations, such as the inability to swap the navigation buttons or to directly switch off and on the Wi-Fi via a tile, but there are some unique and awesome features, such as the double tap on the back in order to call a function, and the pretty nicely looking battery status info bar. Oh, and the fact that it shows battery percentage even for non-Google Bluetooth devices, and many others. There's even live AI translation option. Google have done some awesome things with that NPU. Oh, and even a temperature sensor, quite inaccurate at this point, but it's getting there. My list with the drawbacks begins with the terribly slow wired charging, the somewhat restricted wireless charging, the non-flagship grade performance of the system on a chip, the higher than expected temperature while gaming, and Google's unpleasant habit to restrict 5G and VoLTE for some countries. Oh, and it's the same about certain software features. This is why I can't show you the VPN service and some of the other goodies because they're not supported in my part of Europe. It feels kind of discriminative and unfair, to be honest. Because if Google demands for more money about buying their latest smartphones, we should be demanding for higher standards, especially when it comes to hardware, because, yeah, truly, the display looks brilliant, but on a hardware level, there are so many missed opportunities, and don't get me wrong, this really sets the bar for an excellent Android high-end smartphone, especially when it comes to camera performance, because probably it's the best in its class. But we have to admit that some of the hardware components are not quite there yet to be called flagship grade. On the other hand, the software is exceptional, and it looks like Google have the confidence that it's gonna be really great in a number of years from now, giving it 7 years of software support. That's simply amazing and a little bit disturbing because even now in 2023, performance is not on par with the best out there. So I guess in 7 years, it's not gonna be any better, but we can only wait and see how this is all going to evolve. One thing I can say for sure, Google are that close to creating their perfect smartphone, and I guess this is going to become a fact as soon as they bring in-house the manufacturing process of the Tensor SoC. So that's everything I wanted to share with you, and in case you don't like some of these imperfections, just put on your positive sunglasses, enjoy the Google Pixel 8 Pro the way it is, and in case you have questions or something else to say, be invited. The comment section is down below the video. If you want to support me and my work here on the channel, I guess the video description is the right place to go and check. And thank you very much for being part of this journey. I hope to see you soon in a few days' time when I'm gonna publish my next tech inspection. Until then, be subscribed, give us a like, and I wish you a wonderful day.